up here. Essentially, I'm going to set up my mic, my laptop, and stream from my main desktop. We'll see how this works. Should be all right. The real question is, where did I put my phone? Set that mic up. I hear you. That's right. All right. Myself situated. When I work on my laptop, if I want to be comfy, 200,000 channel points, like a boss. Oops. Okay. So. Basically, hopefully I'm not too loud, you know, I sound good level-wise. But here is the plan. So yesterday, offline a bit, I actually worked on a couple projects. One of them was an icon generator. I generated some new art, and Careless actually made something. I think he made it too small, though. Let's see. Perfect, thank you. Grab Rusty Scrap. Let's move it into here. And we can likely just use 6378. We go to its properties. You made it too small. That's all right. I fill it. I resize it actually when I script. Watch. If I hit run, it will take that asset and bake it in right here. So I have a way to basically generate dynamic assets. I did disable, I think, the DDS conversion. I leave it out, or where did I put it? Yeah, here. So uncomment this. What it does is it'll auto convert it to DDS as well. So good. I think I also fix these. Yeah, adding icons is as simple as putting the PNG and having my little script hit it. So a little speed up. And yeah, you can see The way I wrote it, it's not like super friendly. I could probably clean it up, but it's just a little script for now that's decoding all the coordinates and essentially embedding it onto the existing DDS. Anyways, we could go ahead and start injecting the items. We got to figure out some reservation name or IDs for the items. We also need to do, so Z420 has a rebuild server. And I actually auto-generate salvaging now. I need to see if I can inject that. Probably going to be part of... something akin to this. And then we source... might even rename this to skill. So this salvaging SQL file can now essentially base expansion salvaging. It generates the SQL file and injects a new skill ID. This needs to be verified in game. I'm kind of just priming things before I set it up on a server, just to you know, give myself platform, and then I can go in and test it later. So, with that done, what was the other thing I worked on? I did the art thing, and then I worked on, I think I talked, yeah, the build AA system, which that was more just, you know, I truncate all the AA tables, and then I'm going to have a manual injection of everything. I might subdivide this actually, because it'll make life a little easier. I have a new folder called like AA. And then inside of this, we'll have the SQL files. And we can also then do sub makes. What we could even do is have like Shadow Knight. And I'll have an analyzer that also looks for dupes. Like, I'll code that real quick. So essentially, this will go cd AA and then whatever the command is. It'll source AA, and then it's going to source every class type. I don't have copy paste. Let's see how well ChatGPT does it. Bard, Beast. Not going to do it easily. If I go to the build page in Lua, I have every class broken down like this. That makes it easy. Okay. So, Bard, Beast, Cleric, Druid. I also forgot Berserker. Who's next? Enchanter. Yep. Mage. Yep. Monk. Necro. Necro. Yep. Paladin. Ranger. Rogue. Looks like a Q. Rock. Rogue. Shadow Knight. Shaman. Warrior. And Wizard. Cool. So this will now inject all the AAs. And we'll have just a bunch of AA splits here just to help make it easier to organize. And then this little program will analyze each one and make sure that all the, rank IDs are unique and all that good context. And then you can just sort of copy paste this and we'll just start reserving all of the IDs, probably with gaps so that all of the records are always like prepared for injections later. So yeah, I might even script that. So let's do that actually. We're going to run a quick script and all it does is it's going to generate us all of our files. Yep. Were you here yesterday, Vogel, for all that conversation? Today's essentially a continuation of yesterday. Okay. I don't really need a function called generate class, but it is nice for error return. Cool. We need some sort of counter. That's just going to be like tracking all of these trees because they're all going to need reservations and they all need to have unique IDs. So like there'll be ability ID is an integer. Title going to be an integer. The problem with title, I hate doing this because it's going to be kind of pricey to load it on my computer. But what we'll do is go to my source EQROF2 and then use dbstring. Because this is a really big file. I don't like opening big files because it just eats all my memory. We'll see how this goes. So like you can see here, Egalism is the first rank for some reason, but the category numbers, right? None of them are 2 yet. 2 isn't until 1. This is what's called a title SID. And the first one ever leveraged is actually in its strength with rank 1. These are all reserved for AAs. Yeah, my CPU's because of this. Yeah, in its stamina. So 1 is a reservation for title SID. So we could start this with 1. And ability SID can start with 1. Yeah, this laptop that I'm streaming on right now is actually like very thin. I didn't buy it with like high specs with the intent that, you know, I offload it on other machines. However, there's like these circumstances where like the CPU is just getting absolutely annihilated by stuff. It's literally code, and it's literally because of this. It's annoying. Anyways, init strength has a section type of 4. What we could even do is this. Now we can close this file, because that's eating all my CPU, and we need to stop that. Stop it. Well, I love them because like right now I'm on a couch and I'm like super relaxed, so I can do this for hours. Where my desk, it's a little uncomfy, you know? That's what I like about laptop. I can use them anywhere. Anyways, so title SID, I think actually can start at 1 as well. But okay. So now that we have build skills and we have rank ID reservations, what we can actually do is start generating a class-based reservation list based on this structure. So what I can just do is start a buffer, and eventually write it out to a file that's going to be the class's name as a SQL file. Okay. Hey, Virus. How goes it? Doing good. I'm setting up some templating for all the AAs that we're going to be generating and reserving IDs, you know, getting things formulated. So another key thing we need to do is we're going to be generating 2 files. The second file we'll be generating is based on the rank IDs, or the ability ID, I guess you can call it. Which, by the way, that's going to be another thing. But yeah, I'm writing a script that will generate AA templates to inject all the builds that are planned, and at least put in boilerplate and reserve IDs for me. So then when we add them, it's just a matter of editing their reserved IDs. So okay. So what we're doing is we're going to be also writing a file, probably just called, let's rename this buffer because it's going to get confusing, to buffer AA. And then we're going to make another buffer that's going to become strings H, which I know sounds confusing, but it'll make sense. Now, strings H needs to be appended to, actually. So technically the best way to do that is that when we start this run, is we create a writer to a, you know, strings.h file. and we pass this as one of the arguments to W. And we're going to call it like strings writer. Like strings H writer. And this would be an IO file, I believe. Actually, I'm not sure what this W is. OS file. And the idea is that, let's go ahead and reserve var error real quick. We don't have to declare it on the subsection. What we're going to say is string writer H write, and then we can just write out buff strings bytes. And we can ignore the number of bytes written. Okay. And that'll allow us to just buffer and write this iterator that's going to happen soon. So, every class, right, is going to start at 1, and there's going to become 5 ranks. Okay, so we could even say equals 0, while AA rank is less than 5, A plus, yep. Just doing a simple range. Now, there's going to be 3 trees. I think that's going to be called category. We can clean this up by just doing so 5 ranks, 3 categories. And each category is going to have 3 paths. So, yeah, it's a triple iterator. And what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to need to split this buff AA and this. Ooh, that's actually a good point. It might make sense. You know how I made this writer? We're going to call this strings H writer. No, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make these buffers that I have up here. They're going to be subsplit. So we're going to have buff ability, which is a bytes buffer. We're going to have buff rank. We're going to have buff strings H. And then we're going to take out these writers. And we're also going to take these out. And we're going to pass this as an argument. In fact, we'll put them here. So buff ability, buff rank, buff strings H, and they're all bytes. Okay. And this. So I'm sub-splitting this section because it's going to get populated top to bottom per class, technically, or 2 of them. Because they're pointer references, they'll exist outside the function. So here we would do the right of the class equal. And we may want to use, yeah, we want to do a create And the reason we want to do a create how are you going to get all the changes in the DB string so people know what they are doing? Actually, what I'll be doing so currently what I'm doing is I'm reserving every single ID for every single point allocation, and most of them will be duds, but I'll just default them to like level 100 or, I'll have them enabled false. So you don't see them. And then if I ever want to enable them later, it's just an update on the database, this SQL file. As far as the DB string and the title, I have another parser that'll go through and generate it based on this data. So that's why there's all these weird tags. This means that when you add a new AA, all you have to do is go into the class.sql here in AA and just update these, and it'll generate the DB string for you. So because all AAs are going to be controlled by these SQL files, I'll be able to generate the output as well. And I like that because then I can version this file and have history of like changes and stuff if I ever need to revert it. So, yep, that's what I'm planning to do. So we're going to have a W close, and now we need to write the abilities, and we need to write the ranks. Yep, that's exactly what I want. Thank you, ChatGPT. And so at this point, when a class gets started, we can safely write to buffability a string containing this data. Now, some of this I coded, I believe, earlier in salvaging seals. Really just this check. This is essentially checking if it's last line or not. We can simulate that as well. And then the other thing is buff rank. We need to write onto it a header string. Okay. I know you can't really see what I'm doing because I have that other window open, but basically that. Yeah, ChatGPT really helps, especially when you have the completions over here open. Oh, actually my version, oh, it's because I'm on a remote server. You can have my analysis codes off on this. It's a remote server that I don't normally use, so. But anyways, yeah, it has context awareness of the whole thing. I'm making a server without editing source. I will be editing source. In fact, you notice how I'm generating this file called stringsh? That'll be a predefined header that I'll put into the source code to let me put markers on where changes have happened on source. It just makes merging later easier because it's super obvious when it's something Rebuild added or not. Because some of the features I have planned, I have to use server source. I'll just be extra elegant about it. Okay, so we got these header files, and now we're going to be injecting each line. Now, technically, we're going to be doing a category path iterator, and each rank has 5, but each ability has 6. Okay. What has to happen is at this point, we need to generate a kind of string template of what exactly this is. That's going to be the boilerplate for this data up here. So as at this point, buff ability needs to have a string written to it that essentially says, yeah, that's kind of what we need. But not quite. It's going to be closer to, it tried. This first ID is actually going to become the ability ID. We need to, actually no, the first one is the, all right, let's do this. We're going to drop this so it's on the bottom half, close this, so I can like reference this a little easier. And I'll also tab this so that we can track it. So essentially, whenever we insert these records for abilities, we need it to be the, is auto grant enabled? The answer is 0, 0 for category, or for expansion. No, category is going to be -1, which I think is general. We may, this is going to be auto generated, so we can always tweak these values if needed. Charges 0. Classes, we'll have to fix that later with class ID race masks, but that actually wouldn't be too hard to generate now. Let's do that. So EKEMU, docs, class list. We have the bitwise operators somewhere in here. Right here. So we have the class name strings alphabetized up here. We're going to need to kind of expand this a bit. So let's work on that real fast. So classes, instead of being a string, is going to become a new struct called class. We don't have to capitalize it. So it's going to be, how about like class info? I want to keep it unique. So type class info is a new struct, which is a, class. And we're going to have short name as a string. And that's what these are. Okay. We're going to have, I guess, long name. We're going to have bit mask. And its location will be the number. Okay, so what we can do now, grab this, pop it over there, and now we can start actually entering each of these by saying, like short name is warrior, long name is warrior, and bit mask is 1. Right? And then cleric is 2, paladin is 3, 8 for ranger, 16 for shadow knight. This looks perfect. Bard, rogue, shaman, necro, wizard, magician, enchanter, beast lord, and berserker. Don't know if that bitwise, it looks right. Because that's like spell ID. Yeah, okay. There. So now we have class info. And this will be a var. Do that. Leave. What did I mess up? Each class info has an array. And it's not liking that. Why is it not liking it? It's finding a... Oh, it's because I haven't finished coding all my code. Cool. So when we do a generate class iterator right here, we now pass the actual class. So instead of a string, it's now class info. Now what we can do is, instead of having this 65535, which is like the all class thing, we can now just say class bitmap. And that'll inject the exclusivity of whatever ID we actually care about. Perfect. The next is, okay, so auto grant category charges, classes, deities, Deities, I'm assuming we'll just have it this, aka all deities. Draken Heritage 127. Enabled. So enabled will be 0, but we'll make this conditionally 1. And what it'll be conditionally 1 is if it's enabled by default, or it's not enabled by default, right? And if the path is 1, then the enabled value is 1. So that means the first tree path is going to be 1 on everyone. And that's good, Virus. Just have fun, enjoy. I'm narrating it. Okay, so now this flags the, if the class is enabled or not. The next one is called first rank ID. So this is a reference to the next rank that's going to be part of this ability. So in this case, that's going to become, after enabled value, all these can be, okay, so this would be rank ID, because it's going to be whatever the next rank ID is. Grant only is going to be 1, because all of these are only, they're like special coded granted. ID, so this is actually the record ID, and we can actually make this just the rank ID. So we're going to skip 0. That might cause a corruption in the database, but we'll figure that out, when it comes that time. Now, name, this is going to be some sort of generic thing. In fact, let's go ahead and make this a, we're going to call it build name. And this will be a string that's really going to be like the upper name of the class. So Shadow Knight. Well, maybe not even the prefix. Let's call this like C1 E1, and yeah, the class shorthand. This is going to be the placeholder, all the class names. And is that right? Yeah, that's perfect. We want to upper the short name. So that means it'll be like, Shadow Knight. And because it's starting at 0, that's fine. It'll be like Shadow Knight 00, Shadow Knight 11, Shadow Knight 22. You know what I mean? Or, Shadow Knight 01. And that's like a unique ID that the names will be by default. So this is build name. And we would just search for that and replace it when you add your own in. Well, thank you for your viewership. Okay, so now we have a build name. Next is races, which we can just obviously inject every race. We are race agnostic. Reset on death is no. Status is 0, and type, I think type is the let me find a ability. Type is like this. So this is important. So general is going to be the first tree. So what we can say is this will be interesting that type is considered a string. This feels wrong. Like build name is a string, but then it's like these 3 values. Did it get string on the end? Anyways, the last value is actually going to become the path plus 1. I think. Let me think about that. Path, 3 paths. No, it's going to be category plus 1 because category is the type. Okay. If we save strings. Anyways, so now we generate all the data for the ability ID, and we do so automatically. There's going to be 6 abilities per tree, which means this technically will also be in there. I think, yeah, that sounds right. Okay, so now we've injected the ability thing. One thing we need to also do is take out the ending and basically state if category is 2, path is 2. Yeah, that's actually perfect. You get this. Thank you, ChatGPT. That's just to make sure that the statement ends properly. That's actually 100% what I wanted, so thank you. I mean, it probably pulled it from my code from the other tab, but yeah. Okay, so AA rank. This one is going to be this bottom section. So we're going to be now doing buff rank. Yeah. Are you actually doing it right? Let's see. No, you don't know what you're doing. Okay. So exclamation mark title SID. Now title SID will pretty much just match the ID. But we'll just have it as titles. Another thing we need to do is now that we've leveraged the ability ID up here, didn't we? Check that. Didn't. It's not rank ID. I think I put rank ID twice. That's wrong. So, okay, hold on. So we have type, status, reset on death, races, name, ID. This should be ability ID. And at this point, ability ID goes up by 1 because we just used it. But these injects, right? They're going to be based on title SID. That's now incrementing by 1. And now we can go ahead and say title SID plus plus at the end of this statement. Okay. So next we're going to build the description SID. So again, ChatGPT, it figured it out. And we're going to also just put in this for now. The build name. And in the build name, we'll also put in the class shorthand. So like strings to upper class short name. Like that. Okay. Cool. So next, by the way, we can close this. It's just in the way. Next, we actually got to insert the record. So it's going to be something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 records in it with no ending clause. Okay. And then we put a comma. And now we can inject each element that uses the sprintf. So the first one is description ID. It's a trying. It didn't do a bad job. Actually, it might have did it right. Let's see. The autocomplete here. The description SID is correct. Expansion, I think expansion might need to be impacted by it. Rank ID is correct. Level rec 1. Yeah, that's okay, I guess. Lower hotkey SID. No, those are wrong, but we'll just put this in and then we can tweak it. So description SID, expansion, we'll just leave to 0 for now. I might make this based on what tree it's on though. So like, it's based on ability. Put ability here. Okay, then we have rank ID, which by the way, rank ID needs to be incremented each time. Okay, so rank ID, level rec, we'll just put it as 1. Lower hotkey, it's going to be -1. Next ID, so next ID is going to be whatever the rank ID is, +1. But what we actually need to do is say next rank ID is equal to rank +1 if, yeah, you get it. Because, you know, obviously the next rank ID will not be +1 if you've hit the end of the tree. Okay, so next rank ID, previous ID. Okay, so previous rank ID is that if it's 0, is it -1 when it's previous nothing? Next, yeah, it's -1 actually. Likely the same here. So next rank ID, previous rank ID, recast time is 0, it looks like. Spell is -1 by default. Spell type apparently is 0. And then title SID. And then upper hotkey SID. And then cost. All right. I think that's it. Cool. So we write the title, we write the description, and now we write the record. And now we just got to do the new line check. Yep. You know what you're doing. And I think that's it. We'll do some clarity things like buff rank. No, you don't need this. I just want a new line. That's all I was wanting here. Just to make it look a little cleaner. We can also put a sectional, I guess you could call it, for class over here. So like, that would probably just be up here. Buff ability and buff rank compute per class. And we can go ahead and say here, we can be like, and this would be exactly. Not really needed though, because the file implies it. So I don't think that's a big deal. And actually, we do not need the header. I'm wrong. That's fine. Because this is going to be edited. I just wanted a boilerplate to start with. And it was easier to auto-generate it than have to reserve all the numbers and stuff myself. So I think we're close. We need to do a title SID increment, rank ID, description SID needs an increment. And that might be it. We now just need to write out files. And it looks like this is formatted wrong. It needs 14 OGs, but has 15. So we added... Oh, I think we just need an extra parameter. What do you mean wrong type? Format %s. Oh, because I declared this new class, you know, but there is no stringer. Yeah. No, we can just put the class short name. So like E short name. That's fine. That'll fix my error. What else we got? Description. Oh, the SID is wrong. It should be description SID. And then here. Okay. Now this guy, what's wrong now? Is it telling me I have too many args now? What's going on here? I think I'm missing one even. Okay. Hey, Broken. How's it going? Writing some code. Now where are you guys there? Class is a string. Class is stringable. Is it because I didn't make them pointers? Yeah. Make that a pointer. It's going to be happy. Okay. Let's actually test it. Generate class cannot use because this needs to be a pointer as well. Perfect. So, is there anything else I'm missing? I think that's about it. We're going to move this up here and we're going to generate the new one and see how the AB between this and the old is. When I write the files, I am missing writing the strings.h. Let's do that real quick. Hey, look at that. It just auto-completed it for me. That's always a bonus. All right, so you saw how fast that was? Like, literally, let's time this. You ready for this? So start. Finished in seconds, right? Let's see how fast this is. 0.02 seconds. This is what it just generated. This is why I didn't want to do it by hand, is now we have a template where every single class now has reserved potentially unique rank IDs. We got to verify that. Obviously, I just wrote this. Because it's by class and not alpha, I could fix that. If I hit this and hit sort by natural, and then we rerun this, the Zerker will be on the top of the stack. And so the incrementing is interesting. Why is it at 6? Let's see. 127.06. 127, I believe, is... Oh, that makes sense. This is the first rank ID. Where is the ID? Oh, it's way after. It's after the name. So this. So like you see this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the actual unique ability ID. And you'll notice it goes all the way to 54, right? And then when we go to Bard, it starts at 55. And then it goes all the way down to 108. And then Beast Lord is 109, all the way down. So these are all unique record IDs for every inject, for every build. The other question is the status and the rank enabled properly? So let's check that. Yes, this is 100% what I wanted to do. Like you see all of these classes and all that code I just generated. I would have had to done that by hand, and you know what I mean, that would have been hard and not worth it. And I can now say like, oh, so description of WizWiz, right? That doesn't sound right. And also the titles go WizWiz. So what we're going to do is go back to the generator, take off the prefix right here, because I forgot I injected that into the unique naming. By doing that, we rerun, and now Berserker, you know, or if we go back to Wizard, it won't say WizWiz anymore. It just says this weird code, but this is like the unique ID of this skill. However, you can see there's a bug because the name ID is not incrementing properly, which is interesting. No, that's right. But we need to put another element to it, actually. So the build name also needs to have the rank ID on it after here. I love when Copilot knows exactly what I want. So you can see here, this is Bard, category 0, path 0, ability 0, rank 0. Then this is rank 1, 2, 3, 4. So every rank starts at 0, and every time you pump a point, it goes up. And then this one is category 0, path 0, ability 1. And there's 6 abilities per tree. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when that finishes, it flips to the next path. So now we have reserved codes for every single build combination. The other question, though, is, are they disabling and enabling them properly? Check. So where is that enabled? It's actually on the rank. So it's what? After first, or before first rank ID. So I think it's this. See how they all have 1? That means I have a bug with my enabled value. Is it supposed to be after 127? Oh no, it's perfect. So you can see here, path 1, well, it's not quite perfect. We actually want path 0, rank 0. So I have a check here. If path is 1, this should actually be 0. Now it'll be perfect. So basically the first path abilities are enabled on each category, if that makes sense. Trust me, I know what I'm doing, but yeah. So ultimately this now fills all of the data needed for when you press V and go in game. Your ability window will have all these weird cryptic names, but I can now use this to basically set placeholders that I can just fill in. And what's even better is now when I add in custom AAs, like unlockables, I now have a max ID reserved. So as long as I use an ID higher than 44,320 for ranks and higher than, where's the, I think that feels a little high. Yeah, it's like 864 unique build abilities. So that's how many abilities are going to be coded in the end, is about 864 with 5 ranks apiece. And of course, if we decide, oh, we only want 1 rank of it, right? Like, we're going to flip this. What we would do is just say this 1 rank is 5 points, and the next rank ID is now -1. And that will make it so these other IDs just get ignored, and they'll never be populated. Yes, absolutely. Like I said, I've done this before, and the way I did it before was actually even crazier, because you would go to this website in game and it would actually summon a session. Your character name would be here, and it would say you have, 3 points to spend, and then you could hover over these descriptions and decide on your tree of what you wanted to pump points in. And the moment you clicked and then you tabbed back in game, it would be like, you have become better at Word of Eye. So like, I linked a website to in-game. That's how I wrote it last time. But this time, I'm just going to piggyback the AA window. I think that's honestly easier in the long run. Especially because I plan to condense AAs, because AAs are just a mess. It should simplify life a lot. All right, so let's do a quick comparison on these abilities and how they look compared to my original. So if we come here, we have insert into AA ability, auto grant, and all that fun stuff, right? And then we have values, yep. And then we have the actual build link. I just pasted that, but yeah. And then that looks fine. Then you have an insert into, and then you have this title and description. And then you have the field ID. I could tab these just to kind of feel a little bit more organized, but that's good enough. If you know what you're doing, you can easily edit this. Cool. The other thing we're going to do real quick is we're going to reopen this as a dev container. So actually, before we do that, let's version this to some extent. And we also don't write anything to strings yet. Let's fix that as well real fast. So we're going to go to strings, and we're going to start writing it. So for strings, we want to essentially right here create a string IDs. Define like this. Now I used to do it. I think I might do that again. I really liked that, but yeah, I think I might do that. Sorry, I'm talking to myself a little bit, but essentially RB short name, code name, I guess. So, let's just do this. Build name equals, and I used to do C. I'll take out the short name. In fact, what we can even do, that. And then we put in strings to upper class short name. And why are we quote probleming? Because build. And then we put the parentheses and we're done. Then we put a new line and then we regenerate this. And we go back to strings. There we go. So what this is are predefined numbers. We also need to put in the ID, obviously. And I did it all right, which I think I did. Boom. Now every single build has a unique tag that I can use in source code, or whenever you have to add injects to make this ability work, you now have a marker that's really easy to search that you can just comment on every single code base that's using it. There you go. Though arguably, I'm not going to do it with rank. I don't think this is going to be correct. We're going to actually go up one directory. Do it by ability. So all we do is we take out the R and we tie it to the ability ID. That means there's only going to be like 900 instead of 5,000. And where is it at? Got too many things open. Where's the string? Wait. Oh, do I not write it yet? Strings H, write whatever's in buff strings. Buff strings, you are writing out the defines. It was working earlier. Why did I? Oh, it is working. Okay, there we go. So there, this is a little cleaner. Because what I'll do, if I'm going to repeat what I did in Rebuild, is that the ranking would be via a method. So normally you'll have a check to say like, do they have this AA at all? And then there'll be another check of what rank of that AA do you have, you know? Or really you can just say, what rank do you have of this? And if it's greater than, 0, then write this code and then do it based on what rank of it you have. There you go. That's every unique build technically when it's fully done. But we already know that, like, in fact, we could write a comment, make it a little easier for, when people add in, we go, what that does is now you can see when I launch, these are the only ones that are actually going to be used. So like these 6 are going to be trained, these 6, these 6, you see what I mean? So there's not going to be as many, but I'm leaving these as buffer in case we want to add more trees later. We have a little bit of extra space and keep it cohesive. Cool. Now, if we go back to the drive, as you can see it here, what I can do is we can insert a row, and this will be its code. And we can actually just generate that real quick. Technically, I can just use and then search for this. Maybe I'll keep this. Let's see if it's perfect or not. Well, we didn't order this correctly, but other than that, it's perfect. So like if we take this and move it, oh, we're not perfect. But okay, let's take this and get to Berserkers before Bard. That makes sense. Do I have Shadow Knight twice? I do. So why do I have so many more though? Must have messed up. For those that haven't seen the sheet, what this is doing is this is actually breaking down the abilities. And oh, this doesn't make, yeah, this isn't working because these codes need to be like in these rows. So like this row alone would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, like these 5 is just no, yeah, that's why. So I could generate that real quick just because I want this to be a corollary, right? So like we do our planning here, we get this all ready, looks good, and then when you need to go apply these, you can use this key to kind of have a cross-reference on it. What I'm actually going to do is take all the Shadow Knight ones, cut them, move them down to Shadow Knight here. Okay. Now we can go ahead and delete these records. And next, we actually have to do a swap because Berserker should be before Bard. What I'll do is I'll cut these, put them over here temporarily. Then I'll grab Bard. What is it? Berserker, Bard, Beast. So these all need to go down to here. Berserker, Bard. Yep. And then these back over here. Ta-da! Okay, so now the ordering hopefully is identical. We will see pretty quickly. Let's just write a temporary buffer again, and we'll call this one sheet buff sheet. And what we need to do is put this in here. And also write it out at the end. It doesn't really matter what this file goes to. And whenever we do a new ability, we can run a Is it every ability? No, it's every path. It's going to be very similar to this, but it's going to be at this tier. With no ability on it. Like that. And now we have this AA sheet I made temporarily. And in theory, just paste his values. And let's see. Yeah, so you can see here, this is essentially the code of how to look these up on the website, or on the website, but on the in the source code. So these little tags on the end is, and look, it's perfect. It aligns exactly the sheet. So the ability numbers are these, right? So this would be 0, 1. In fact, let's just do that. We'll even do like obtain level 17. $16 to $20. And 21 to what? 5. And then this one is ability, not ability 5, obtained 25. There. So you can be like, okay, if I want to implement Bloodthirsty, well, Bloodthirsty is not a skill, but let's say you want to implement Leech, right? So we have Leech here, one of my original skills. We now know that you take Shadow Knight C0, P0, and you add ability 0 to it. And if we search for that with Shadow SQL, and we look for C0, P0, ability 0, this would be renamed to Leech. And this would be the description, which actually is right here. And that's how you do it. I'll probably also add to it a, I know I'm putting this all over, but I might put another comment with just that. Because you'll be removing these tags. And if we keep one on top, that'll help. I think just that. Now if we go to like Bard. Yeah, so there's just this top comment. Because these are made to be edited. There you go. So yeah, I now auto-generate my builds. Is essentially what all that was. And we can go ahead and delete this sheet thing. And we can go ahead and this will probably turn into like a test. Because I don't want it to be auto run. It's more of a generator. So do that. Yep. Okay. Then what else can we do with this? We can take out Shadow Knight 0 now, because you know, while there is this like current max and all this, we will have to discuss that, like how we want that formatted. And if we want that to become programmatically done, that was just placeholder. So we're going to go ahead and version all this and then unstage this, unstage string IDs, probably unstage self. Didn't I unstage this too? There's two. Okay. Before we officially push this though, what I should do is open up a new tab, SSH to rebuild again. Oh, it won't let me do that. Hear you. But we're going to just reopen this in container. Make sure nothing is. The reason I don't like reopening a container is that I'm going to lose my ability to push up with Git potentially because of the user space that a dev container's in. I didn't set it up yet. But yeah, it's loading it. And the reason I want to be in the dev container is that we want to run MariaDB because we've already primed the database. It's actually already running. The DB was already up. So what we do is we go to base expansion AA, and then what we can say is technically just inject custom, right? Like we actually inject these SQL entries and see if it works. Because if you notice, we inject all of them here. AA.SQL is the truncation, and then the rest are all the injects. So let's do that. See if it fails. What was the command? I thought it was just inject. Oh, it's just inject. Okay. So the salvaging command failed. Also, the AA window, this is because it matches a folder, so you have to put this. So let's first work on that. Oop. Column does not match value count. Yeah, so we have some syntax errors, but because it's auto-generated, it's easy to fix. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to test before we pushed. So in Wizard, when it tries to inject, it's informing us that on line 57, the column count doesn't match value count. Okay, so let's just verify this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And what do we have extra? Probably this one, because level rec and lower next. Yeah, I can already tell you it's that one. So let's fix that by going into the AA test, going to the 1,1 section, removing one, taking out a single decimal, printf, and going to, we don't even have to go there. We can just come up to the top of this and just hit run. Oh, cannot find main module. Yeah, that's just unfortunately because of dev container again. I have it set up without it, so I'll just go in right here and then I'll run without it in the dev container to see if it works. There we go. Hit run. Oh, could not find main module. So both of the go run environments are. I guess that makes sense. I don't know if I want to put a go mod on the base of this or not. Let's just do it. Knowing me. Perfect. That's it. Done. Okay. Now if we go back to Bard, you can see all these lines got edited. So now if we run the inject again, ta-da! Perfect. It now injects valid data, and we can actually validate it. We can look at it in the database. So if we go into Beekeeper, which is a database viewer, and we hop on my local host over here, and we go look at the database, which actually I already have open over here, you can actually see it right here. So all those fields are now injected into the database successfully. All 5,000 plus of them. The classes flag should be correct. And the ranks should all be injected. So there you go. And then whenever we want to add one, you don't touch the database, you touch this file. And the idea is that every time we mod the database, we just drop and re-inject the database when the server is offline. You know, at least for data edits here. But honestly, all you'll ever change in here is the title name, potentially the next rank ID and the cost, right? If you're going to do that, and then these two fields. So that's not going to be edited a lot, you know? Just mainly like strings are going to be changed and a couple numbers. So, yeah. That aside, we can now version this. So let's go over here, and you can see all of these SQL files now have their entry removed one. This sheet we can actually discard. It's just a generic thing. We'll add go mod, and we'll have the make file fix with the phony. I think that's it. So add AA generator or template. Now these string IDs, we can actually copy and toss into string IDs. Here. Just like that. And now we have the string IDs injected here. Build. And the next thing we'll look at is the salvaging system. Okay. Yeah, a lot of technical back-end work is happening right now. And I could spin up the server. My problem is, you know, maybe I should take my server Jamfest offline and just replace it with this. It would be faster and easier. But the problem is I need a dev environment. I don't really want to have a prod until we get things a little more stable. And I usually have an external hard drive I plug into one of my high-performance laptops, and it just has a Linux install on it so that I can just SSH into it and leverage its really fast CPU for compiling and stuff. But I don't know where I put that hard drive. So I'm using Z420, which is like a headless home NAS kind of box. It's not high performance. It's more just sort of, you know, it's got a bunch of drives on it and stuff. And it's just reliable, but it runs slow. How did I lose it? I physically plug it into the USB drive, and I sat it somewhere, and I don't know where I put it because I haven't used it for a couple months. And Just funny. I just don't know where I put it is all. I guess another thing we need to consider when we're on the topic, I guess, is quests and rebuild. Is this the right one? RebuildEQ server quest. Yeah, I guess that's right. So these builds, we need to think of a way to correlate these better. So a lot of my build abilities are actually just going to be simple Lua code like this to implement. And the reason this is better is like if we need to nerf it, if we need to tweak it, it's super easy to balance it and validate it with this. As well as I have a new command called build debug. I think is what I forget what I called it. Yeah, literally hashtag build space debug or builds. I forget if I think it's plural. Anyways, it turns on basically debugging and it's extra spammy. But if you're ever trying to validate, like, you know, how much is this spell doing to your whatever, you get things like this. Life sap has healed you for X points of damage. This is currently a debug line. So players can opt into that as well. And I used to have a reset command. We'll see if we keep that, but worst case, this will be put onto an NPC and have a paywall or a cooldown to use, you know, things like that. And I have an inspect command if you're a guide. I have a guide flag here. And then you also have target, which allows you to inspect or allows you to reset or mess with a person's build. Target. This was a cool feature, and I definitely am going to use this in some form. You see this? Compass. So, you know how when you do Eldons, how when you start the adventure, it puts the blue marker on your compass, and it kind of guides you on where to go in order to find the destination? What I learned is it's not natively supported, but you can send the packet for that compass notification at any time to a player. And when you do so, you can actually point to specific locations and you can do different coloring. Like you see here how it's like quest green. It actually causes your compass to have a green line on it to imply that there's a quest over there. And I could use this for all sorts of interesting custom reasons to just help navigate you a little bit better, if not with find, you know? So. And then this over here, the build set. This was my old system. This was my old build tree. This all is going to need to get rewritten because builds no longer are a string. They're now they're all rank IDs. So I'm actually going to need to generate code for this. Yep. There you go, Dougal. Maybe I should work on that. Maybe I'll work on that now. Okay. So, in order for that to be added, we have a command in here, I believe, that is actually part of the core build system and gives you the rank ID. It's right here. What I'll probably need to do is generate all of these packages and make this, you know, Berserker, and then these will just be the codes, and the IDs will be the, you know, the AA rank ID. Or ability ID is really what it's called. And then this is a dynamic folder lookup tool based on the skill name, but we'll have it commented out if they're not implemented. And if we do that, we have this builds rank, and this builds rank command is going to have to do this is going to have the new AA system on. So one challenge with getting the rank of a skill is we're going to need to create like this large dictionary of every class. Ooh, that's a good. No, actually, what you would do is probably, instead of skill ID, this would probably just be like category ID and path ID. And that, do I need category and path? I think I do. So it'll probably be category ID, path ID, and ability. By the way, this is EQEMU definitions, so you get autocomplete and IntelliSense. We no longer use the bucket system. Instead, we would need to use the AA system, which is probably under EQ. Probably like a getter AA. You can get the AA name. What about rank? What is there an AA system? And I don't know the Quest API very well off the top of my head. The Explorer would probably help me with this. Let's see. In Lua, are there any, there's not an AA type, so it's probably going to be an EQ. But can I get the rank of a AA? I mean, obviously I have. Get the AA name of the ID. What else can you get? Actually, not a lot. We have spell rank, set AA, get AA experience, modifiers, grant points, get alternate experience, alternate advancement ability. That looks more close. What is this doing? Oh, this is grant. I want get. This is always a get AA by AA ID. That looks like. We're going to look it up in source code just as a reassurance. All right, so when you call this, you pass the AA ID and it returns a pointer, charges, and that's the number of ranks. And it just iterates until it hits the final value that is not the end and works. Yeah, this is exactly what we need. Okay, so this is EQ get AA by ID. Why is this in... This is like... It's a mob. Okay, so it's self get AA by ID. And then inside this, we would pass... I think we have to do with a col. We would pass the ability. But see, we don't know the ability ID. So we're going to have to create a like dictionary lookup for that. Per class. Like we have skills currently. We're going to have to make something akin to like local I want to say builds. I want to say something build AAs. And then in each of these, we'll have like mage. And then mage is going to have... You know, it's going to have the category. I don't know if you can do it with 0. Can you do it like this? It's interesting. You can do key value pairs. You can see it up here. But it doesn't like non-class names. So this would be, let's say, category 0, path 0, and then it'd be like ability 0, and then this would be like 1, 2, 3. You know? We can put it all collapsed on one tree. Possibly like this. You know what I mean? Because these are all hard-coded, so I can make a lookup. And all these IDs are going to be unique by class. And if we have the short name to look up with, we can just generate this with my program. And then we have a table. This is more for human readableness. Oof, that's a question, though. I like this system where you have a name that's a little bit more readable. But if I use this, that might be cleaner. Okay. Sorry, I'm just thinking on this for a bit. We keep it this way. Each section is going to be roughly this big. So each class is going to take up about 86 lines. Or not 86, 16 lines. So 16 times 16. Well, we're in hex mode. 16 times 16 is 484 lines. That's big enough that it almost constitutes its own variable. I like what I did with ability DB. Yeah, maybe I'll make a build DB. And match the ability DB section. I think I'll pluralize it. I decided that at one point I would. My brain. So we don't need to do the local. Build DB is essentially just going to be a huge thing. And that huge thingy ultimately gets returned. Hell, we could just do this. And this now becomes like you saw earlier, where you have each class break down. Are you happy with this? Or are you? Because the index is duplicate. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Because this should be 1, 2, 3, or 0, 1, 2. That makes sense. Cool. And then this goes away, and now we have a build DB that we can tap into on external files. And technically, we could actually remove all of the skills and just retain the code names in these Lua files. There's going to be a ton of files. And I could possibly auto-generate too. So how enjoyable is it watching me like break this down and like do deep thought? Is it kind of like, I assume I got 10 people watching, so I guess it's kind of amusing. We're going to go ahead and generate the Lua file. And we're going to call this the builds DB Lua, I guess. And this DB is going to be all encompassing, so we'll pass it as a argument pass. Put into this. And okay, so we're iterating every element. We're iterating every rank. As we do so, probably around here, we can go ahead and inject the new Lua. I'll probably format it like this. So I could just make it all one line. There's no reason I shouldn't do this though. It's not that hard to do. Okay, so buff builds Lua write string, and we put in return, just like that, which feels really weird. And then at the very end, we do another, and we write it out. This file is always going to be up, up. This is expansion base, up, quests, Lua modules, builds db.lua. I don't like these failed bad. Okay, so this will now write it to the proper directory. Now we can go ahead and finish the generation. So we've done the first line and the last line. Now we got to do the mage line, which would be under classes. When we go to generate a class, or we even start categories, we go ahead and just say buff builds Lua, right string. There's going to be a tab, and then class short name. Printf it so it can write into a formatter. Equals, and then a start bracket. And then we put in the, actually it's too lower. Okay. Then on the ending of this function, we exactly tab, comma, unless it's the last class, which we don't know if it's the last class or not unless we do this right in this iteration. Let's do that. If it's the last class, do this, otherwise do this. Okay, that'll generate the top and bottom lines. I guess the comma doesn't matter actually, so we don't need this. We're good. In fact, we don't need to put it in there. Let's just undo all that. I know, I did all that work, and it's because Lua is like Golang where comma suffixes are fine. So we can just undo all this, redo that. Oop, wait. Going to. No. There we go. Okay. Now we have the commas for mage in this. Next, we got to do the categories. Which is really just going to be C this equals and the same thing at the end of the for loop. Okay. Now that was path actually. We need to go up one. This also needs to be tabbed twice. Okay. Next, we're going to do the paths. It actually knows what it's doing. The difference, though, is that with paths, we aren't going to put the new line because we're actually going to inject each path as such. Every time we do an ability, ooh, that's a good question. This could be here because it's based on path ID. And now we can say %s. Now this will comment out lines that shouldn't be there. It'll be like tab, 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 comment on the ones that aren't enabled. Perfect. Okay. Though, even if it's disabled, no, I'll just make it fail. I think that'll be okay. Okay. So next we need to inject the actual ability strings. And we need to not forget about the end bracket. You don't need to do tab tab. You need to do end bracket on the path. Yep. Okay. And then on each ability, so we're at the ability struct, we're going to do a buff builds Lua right string, and these are going to be not that complex. They're going to be A, B equals, and then whatever the is with a comma, but the last one won't have a comma. If ability equals doesn't equal 5, then add a comma. Because the ender is early. Then this is just going to become ability, and I think ability, I think that'll do it. E ends here. I think we're good. Let's give it a whirl. Let's see if it actually generates properly. Did I actually write it yet? I think I did, in fact. There it is. But we are building the wrong string. Let's fix that. If Lua enabled comment this. How did we get all this weirdness? Why is ability an int getting written? Oh, why did this get renamed? It's not supposed. That's supposed to go to A Street, I think. We'll find out. There. So now you can see, again, I'm saving myself time because I'm auto-generating all the Lua maps. But every ability is now on a lookup table. Class, category, path, and then each rank's ability ID. Or not rank, each ability's ID. And then if we go to builds, and we go back to, well, we got to do a couple. First, we got to do something like that. So in builds, we add the builds DB. Then second, on this, we got to figure out the class short name and don't know actually if this understands. My Lua is not amazing. So builds DB, check if for element. Let's see if it can figure this out. This is GPT-4. If not builds DB, and then we got to get the class name. Yeah, that's right. Is it not lower? I think you got to do like ring lower. I think that's it. Okay. So if this doesn't exist, then the rank is 0. Next, if well, this will be see, it's figuring it out. All right. So now we have all these sanity guards where it's doing lookups on the database to see this rank is valid. And we may need to do a caching mechanism because we're going to be calling this constantly. But for the time being, that's how I'll do it. I think these class definitions, they might be pretty good in Lua. I don't know. But anyways, now we're going to say local rank equals, well here, local ability ID equals, and then this huge thing. Then local rank equals self, get the ability. Yep, exactly. And is there anything else in here? If rank, then return rank. If not, no, we can just return this. There. So this now supports AA-based ranks. Now, of course, every reference to builds.rank is broken now. I don't think this, let's see, builds. Every one of these errors is because this is trying. So we use the shit out of this builds rank call. Don't we? No, actually, I think it's only in builds because when you get into the scope of this, it passes the rank to you. So shouldn't be too bad. We just need to reclean all these functions up so they iterate. Yeah, I don't call the rank thing until so for category ID, which is, yeah, this basically. But I don't need to do this weird builds DB call crap. It's more 0 to 3 because I'm using this prefacing thing. And then it's for there's 3 categories and there's 3 paths. And for the time being, this is only 1. What else? I'm doing some hardcore coding. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so now we're in the paths. So the next are ability ID. And this is going to be 1 through 5, or 0 through 5. And yep. So now it's going to go look up if this category or this rank exists. If it does, and you have the rank trained, then do a method. What we're probably going to want to do is also comment out these methods so that it's not spending time calling up these sanity checks. It's like the skills system, we actually don't need to worry about anymore. On init, we can do the type checks. So like, okay, this is interesting. What I'm doing here is I am actually building out a unique class called skill, which has all these different functions. I don't actually define any of them, which is interesting. What I likely need to do is fix all of these. That when they're implemented, you put in the ID of the ability. Because the ability ID alone is a unique ID for every single ability. So basically, if you put this as ability ID XYZ, okay, so let's assume that happens. When this iterates, it just iterates every skill that's been registered, and then it looks for every entry, and then it sees if there's any methods implemented inside of the file. And if there is, it puts it as a callback later. Then whenever an event occurs, it is iterating every rank, finding out if there is an AA forwarder. We may want to flip this so that it doesn't bother unless skill common damage exists, kind of thing. It's like skill based on the class. And the ability. So, okay, there's a bit of an issue here. This is a one-dimensional call, where this is a, like, yeah, it's like a local scope call, where this is like a global ID call. Honestly, we could keep this old way. And the only difference is, we need a method call that just picks it up by the ability ID. So we would need like a reverse lookup table. But really, we don't even need this table, because if we have the ability ID baked into this, and they're all unique, then this thing can just use skill ID, and that would be the ability ID. Yeah, I think I just did a lot of work that didn't technically need to happen. Good times. Like, this can be reverted. I'll do this. I'm going to stash it. Not stage. Yeah, okay, if I stage it, can I stash it? No? Why can't I stash? Do we not have get less? Okay, so this guy, we're going to stash as, you know, build revamp. Okay, so that reverts my changes. And what I'm going to do instead is ensure that all of these IDs are unique. Okay, so we iterate all these, we get them built, we go through each class and every skill. And we do a build rank check with class. And honestly, all we have to do is say return self get AA by AAID and then pass the skill ID. All of this can go away and we're done. Because the skill ID on all these are going to need to match, you know, the ones over here. Don't know if this is built into these. That could be handy as well. So let me actually work. So, you know, I have AA sheet. Wait, I do. I have equals. The problem is that I don't need the. I'd have to break this down more crazily. I don't want to do that. Okay. No worries. You'll just have to do this like rudimentary. Like, you just got to understand the flow. Not the most intuitive, but you know, basically this would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And it'll be a unique ID based on the ability. We could just go ahead and these again though. What can I do to find these easy? Probably like this. Highly likely won't have a side effect. If it did, I'd be able to find it. Changes. Where the hell did quests go? Oh, I'm in the wrong repo. Or the wrong window. Okay. Yeah, you can see I commented all those out. And then down here, I just added the new AA-based lookup. And I think that's it. We now have AA-based builds in my old system for Lua-driven methods via Lua mods. And yeah. This builds DB was not needed, I don't think. It's technically going to be manually mapped by using the, you're basically just attaching a file to a build ID or an ability ID in your AAs. That's all it's doing. And that's fine. That's actually perfect because it's a lot easier than the stuff I was writing. Some of this like debug stuff, it's just going to be dumping the skill ID, which would be the ability ID now. And my set build command is going to be broken now. Did I even have one? I think I did. Oh, here it is. Set. And then you could set it to a string. That's 53 characters. This is no longer needed. I mean, I could technically still build out the strings because it might be nice for like debugging purposes, like to snapshot how a player is built. But I'm not going to worry about that for now, obviously. Cool. So we commented out all these now unused files. Probably should just delete them, remove them, or something. This is the key. I'm going to commit that. Did that actually commit? Yes, but that's not in the Git container, so that's not a big deal. This guy, again, we can ignore the AA sheet. The AA test. Is that all we've added? Is the changes for some minor cleanup, enable comment with Lua. That's literally all we added. So in other words, dash Lua gen. Maybe we'll need it later. We'll see. Cool. Well, that was a lot easier than I had anticipated. But looks like code has an update. Fun. This wants me to reload it with Copilot to work. We don't care about it. Okay. What else do we need to do? We've just heavily tackled the boilerplate templating of builds and pre-allocated all the AA numbers. So that's super nice. I think I'm going to generate these into a subdirect, or, I'm going to make like a build section. There's just so many. And I know there's going to be other AA tweaks, and I'd rather have those grouped. Oh, the word build is a reserved word. What about builds? There we go. Nope, builds is also a reserved. probably, oh, here, the easiest way to fix that is, let's add a git ignore on AA. Ta-da! Maybe? Wait, exclamation mark. There we go. And strings can be ignored. I did actually generate a Go mod on the root or the directory of that section. And then AA test. We're going to have to test or rewrite all the writes too. That's easy. Builds into every write file. The strings.h, honestly, we can do that as well. Blaring error on the top, so I don't hide it every time I'm commenting things. All right, so we moved up. And then we moved, added a git ignore. We also need to update the make file so that it honors that change. Enough. We just go cd AA and then we change it to cd AA builds and then run the source. Good. All now should get generated. We can test it in the dev container. Look at that. No problems. Oh, yeah, still salvaging. That's because salvaging is now skills, and I didn't update that. I think that'll fix it. What'd you do? You're saying that failed to open salvaging skills. Did I do something weird with the make file? Yeah. That fixed it. Let's see. Done. All salvaging does currently is it adds these in the skill caps. We now have skill 78. The goal is to potentially have a new skill called salvaging in your skill window, but we will see what's all involved to make that cleanly added. It's hard. We're not going to put too much time into it. Okay. Add AA build tweaks. Let's go ahead and push this. And we need to do a PR. Let's go to rebuild server. There should be a PR ready. No? Why is BaseDB not giving me a PR request? Oh, I think it's because they are technically a different pull request. Yeah, it doesn't look. Okay. So we're going to PR BaseDB into me. And this is going to add all of my changes. I don't need this template. Add a based build revamp. It's going to be the PR. Get a pull request. Oh shit, did I put it to... Okay, good. I was like, did I PR this to EQEMU server? But no, this thing is segregated from pretty clean. We're going to go ahead and wash and merge. And now it's kind of cleaned up and summarized. And we can go ahead and delete this branch and go back to the server, switch this back to main, run a git pull. This. Perfect. And we should now be up to date. And if we do go into dev feed, we should see the activities from both quests right there, as well as my activity in main. Perfect. Nice. So just lots of little prep work, big inserts, big cleanups and prep. I do need to get my server up. I will probably have that tomorrow. I mean, I spent a good 2.5 hours on this, so that's not too bad. And probably going to start. Sorry, I'm getting up. I was in a super comfy position. Yeah, basically, you got server ready to get up already. Damn. No. What I'll do is I'll have a dev server up soon, and we can actually see some of this stuff in action in game, which will be cool. Not going to be super exciting though on first launch, but what I'll probably do is possibly expose the server so other people can hop in and play around, especially once we start getting some builds in, and the guild masters and, you know what I mean, some of those rudimentary things. The salvaging tool could also be really handy to start finishing up. I could possibly, honestly, I feel like I can do salvaging in a day, at least the prototype. Balancing will be like forever. And, you know, people can play around and see what's broken. But, yeah, no worries, Dougal. Nobody, I mean, you're looking at probably a year, or if not longer, before the server would be in any shape to be like, all right, we're going to beta, you know? So I look forward to checking out the server and giving it a solid try. Yeah, absolutely. That would be appreciated. But again, it's going to be like not even alpha, you know? As far as the server, here's my original RebuildEQ Discord link. Oh, of course. Wait, why does that not work? It's probably because I'm using Better Discord. The URL link copying doesn't work right. I think if you go to my website, RebuildEQ.com, I think I have a Discord link on there on the bottom. There it is. Let's try that. That might be easier. No, that says Jamfest. Don't join that. I'll get a link later. Oh, actually, isn't this? I'm not using Better on here. I'm using normal. Why is like Discord not letting me send a link? Jamfest was another server. Just I understand you have it hidden, but you broke your damn invite links. Like, the hell? Generate a link, copy. No link. Use copy and dude, they broke their copy the link. But yeah, we'll figure it out later. Don't worry. There's nothing really on Rebuild that is worth jumping on yet for the Discord. I will definitely be streaming and give you a notification that way better than just hanging out on there. But anyways, yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out. I hope you had a good time listening to my voice, hearing me ramble about technical things. Let's see who's streaming right now. Got D's Games is streaming. A birthday stream even. Let's go raid D's because he's been giving me some love. D's Games. And you are absolutely welcome. I feel bad because I'm like getting pretty deep in the woods on like how to make all this stuff work. And so a lot of you guys are like, like literally what Broken said. I have absolutely no idea half the stuff you were talking about, but Jesus, man, sounds cool. Yeah, I mean, it's all about just implementing shit, right? It's like making vision to reality and setting up a framework. Because obviously builds alone is a lot of work, right? Just getting it implemented, even just created. And I'm trying my best to set it up where I can split the work, right? Like I can collaborate with other contributors easily and people can contribute even with low level programming skills. That's important to me. And so I'm doing a little extra work on like architecting everything with that in mind. So a little extra work, but I think it's worth it. I did it with Rebuild. I got a lot of productivity done in Rebuild when I sat down and, did the same kind of thing. So anyways, thank you again, guys. Take care.